If I had known, I would never have stretched out my hands that day. I would have looked into Nyarai's eyes and seen what was hiding there like a snake in tall grass. But I was young, foolish, and hungry for what looked like friendship. My heart was empty, searching for someone to fill the loneliness that had been growing inside me like weeds after rain. My name is Zubeda, and I am telling you this story so you will not make the same mistake I did. This happened 15 years ago in our small town of Kasenda, where the red dust roads meet the green hills that roll toward the border. Where everyone knows everyone's business, and secrets travel faster than the morning bus to the city. Where reputation is everything, and one wrong step can follow you for the rest of your life. I was 17 then, full of dreams and desperate to belong somewhere. My family was struggling. My father had left us when I was 12, and my mother worked herself to exhaustion selling vegetables in the market just to keep food on our table and pay for my school fees. I wore the same 3 uniforms over and over, washing them by hand every evening until the fabric grew thin and the colors faded. Nyarai came to our school when we were in Form 3. She arrived on a Tuesday morning in January, when the rains had just stopped and everything smelled fresh and new. She stepped out of a shiny car with her father, a man in an expensive suit who worked for some government office in the capital. She had smooth skin that glowed like she used expensive creams, brand new shoes that squeaked on the classroom floor, and a smile that made teachers love her instantly. All the girls wanted to be her friend. They crowded around her during break time, offering to share their lunch, asking questions about the city where she came from. The boys stared at her from across the courtyard, whispering and pointing. But for some reason I could not understand, she chose me. I was not the prettiest girl in our class. That was Amara, with her long hair and light skin. I was not the smartest either. That was Chipo, who always scored the highest marks in mathematics and science. My family was definitely not rich. We lived in a small house with cracked walls near the market, where the smell of fish and vegetables mixed with dust and diesel fumes from the buses. But Nyarai acted like I was special. She saved a seat for me in class, chose me as her partner for group projects, and walked with me to the bus stop after school. For the first time in my life, I felt like someone important. Someone worth knowing. "Zubeda, you are so real," she would say, linking her arm through mine as we walked. "Not like these other fake girls who only care about boys and makeup. You have substance. You have depth." Her words were like honey in my ears. No one had ever spoken to me like that before. She bought me sodas from the school canteen and shared her expensive lunch that came in a proper lunch box with separate compartments. She helped me with homework and stayed after school to practice French pronunciation with me because I struggled with the accent. When other students made fun of my worn shoes or faded uniform, Nyarai would defend me. "Material things do not matter," she would say loudly enough for everyone to hear. "True beauty comes from within. Zubeda has more character in her little finger than you have in your whole body." I felt blessed to have such a good friend. My mother noticed the change in me immediately. I came home happier, more confident. I talked about Nyarai constantly during dinner, telling my mother about her kindness, her generosity, her loyalty. But I should have wondered why someone so perfect, so popular, so wealthy, wanted to be friends with ordinary me. I should have asked myself why her eyes went cold and hard when other students praised me for something. Why she always found ways to interrupt when teachers complimented my work. Why she changed the subject when I talked about my dreams of going to university. But I was too happy, too grateful, too blinded by what felt like love to think clearly. The gift came on a Friday afternoon in March, when the air was thick with the promise of rain. Nyarai pulled me aside after school, away from the other students who were rushing to catch their buses home. Her face was serious, almost solemn, as she reached into her school bag and pulled out a small plastic bag from one of the expensive shops in town. Inside was a beautiful gold necklace with a heart-shaped pendant that caught the afternoon light like fire. It was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen up close. The chain was delicate but strong, and the heart had tiny diamonds or crystals that sparkled like stars. "This is for you," she said, smiling that bright smile that always made my heart skip. To show how much our friendship means to me. You are like the sister I never had, Zubeda. I want you to have something beautiful, something that shows the world how special you are. I stared at the necklace, afraid to touch it. It looked expensive. Too expensive for a schoolgirl to own. More expensive than anything my family had ever possessed. Nyarai, I cannot take this. It must have cost too much money. Your parents will be angry if they find out you gave away something so valuable. She laughed, but there was something sharp in the sound that I did not recognize then. My parents have plenty of money. They buy me jewelry all the time. This is nothing to them. Do not worry about the cost, she continued, her voice taking on a pleading tone. My uncle brought it from South Africa when he visited last month. He brought several pieces for me. I have more jewelry than I know what to do with. Please, take it. You will hurt my feelings if you refuse. You will make me think our friendship means nothing to you. I looked at her face, searching for any sign of deception. She seemed so sincere, so hurt that I would even think to refuse her gift. Her eyes were wide and innocent, filled with what looked like genuine affection. Against my better judgment, against the small voice in my head that whispered warnings, I took the necklace. The gold felt heavy and warm in my hands, like it was alive. Thank you, I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. I will treasure it always. I will never take it off. I promise. Nyarai helped me put it on, her fingers cool against my neck as she fastened the clasp. The pendant settled against my chest, right over my heart. It looks perfect on you, she said, stepping back to admire her handiwork. Like it was made just for you. I wore the necklace to school the next Monday, my head high with pride and excitement. I had spent the entire weekend admiring myself in our small cracked mirror, watching how the pendant caught the light, imagining what people would say when they saw it. Other students noticed immediately. They gathered around me before the first bell rang, touching the necklace with careful fingers, asking where I got such a beautiful thing. For the first time in my life, I was the center of attention. Girls who had never spoken to me before were suddenly interested in being my friend. Boys who had looked right through me started greeting me in the hallways. It is so beautiful, Zubeda, said Ashim, our class captain, a girl whose opinion everyone respected. You are so lucky to have such a generous friend. Nyarai must really love you to give you something so expensive. I felt proud and important, like I finally belonged in this world of people who had nice things. I held my head higher, spoke more confidently in class, and even raised my hand to answer questions I would normally keep to myself. But I also noticed something else. I saw Nyarai watching from across the classroom, her face unreadable. She was smiling, but her eyes were not happy. They were calculating, measuring, like someone watching a trap close around an unsuspecting animal. When our eyes met, she would wave and blow kisses, but something about her expression made my skin crawl. Things started going wrong slowly, so slowly that at first I thought it was just my imagination. First, my best friend Tumalo stopped talking to me. We had been close since primary school, sharing secrets and dreams, walking to school together every morning. Suddenly, she was cold and distant. When I finally cornered her in the bathroom and demanded to know what was wrong, her words cut me like a knife. You have changed, Zubeda, she said sadly. Ever since you got that necklace, you think you are better than us. You do not sit with us at lunch anymore. You do not walk home with us. You only have time for Nyarai and her rich friends now. That is not true, I protested, but even as I said it, I realized it was. I had been spending all my time with Nyarai, eating lunch at her table with the popular girls, walking to her father's car after school instead of taking the bus with my old friends. You used to be real, Zubeda, Tumalo continued, tears in her eyes. Now you are just like all the rest of them. Fake and proud and thinking money makes you special. Then my grades began to drop. I could not concentrate in class. My mind kept wandering to the necklace around my neck, to the way it felt heavy and warm against my skin. Sometimes it felt like it was burning me, but when I looked in the mirror, my skin was always normal. The necklace felt heavy around my neck, but I was afraid to take it off. Nyarai always checked to make sure I was wearing it. My mother noticed the necklace one evening as I helped her prepare dinner. She was cutting onions for the stew when she looked up and saw the gold gleaming in the lamplight. "Where did you get this, Zubeda?" she asked, setting down her knife and reaching out to touch the pendant. Her fingers were rough from years of hard work, but her touch was gentle as she held the heart up to examine it in the light. "Nyarai gave it to me," I said proudly, puffing out my chest like a peacock showing its feathers. "She is my best friend. Her family is very wealthy. She has many pieces of jewelry, so she gave me this one to show how much our friendship means to her." My mother frowned, her weathered face creasing with worry. She had raised me alone since my father left, working 16-hour days to put food on our table and keep me in school. She knew the value of things, knew what we could afford and what we could not. "This looks very expensive, my daughter. More expensive than anything we have ever owned. Are you sure her family can afford to give away such gifts? Are you sure there are no strings attached?" I felt a flash of anger, hot and sharp in my chest. Why could my mother not just be happy for me? Why did she always have to question everything good that came into my life? Why can you not just be happy for me? I snapped, jerking away from her touch. For once in my life, someone thinks I am worth something valuable. Someone sees that I deserve nice things too. Why do you always have to ruin everything with your suspicions? My mother's eyes filled with sadness, and she reached out to touch my face with her calloused hand. "My daughter, listen to an old woman who has seen much of this world. The most dangerous gifts come from people who want something from you. Nothing valuable ever comes free. There is always a price to pay." 3 weeks later, I overheard 2 girls talking in the bathroom during lunch break. They were standing by the sinks, and they did not know I was in one of the stalls, holding my breath and listening to every word. "Did you hear about Nyarai's uncle?" one said. It was Kafilwi, a girl from Form 4 who worked part-time at her aunt's shop in town. "No, what about him?" the other girl asked. "There is no uncle in South Africa. I saw Nyarai working at Goldstein's jewelry shop last Saturday. She was cleaning display cases and organizing inventory. My aunt told me she works there every weekend and sometimes after school. That is where she gets all those expensive things she gives away." My blood went cold, and I had to bite my lip to keep from crying out. If Nyarai was working to buy me gifts, spending her own hard-earned money, what did she want in return? What was she expecting from me that would be worth months of weekend work? Why would she lie about having a rich uncle? The second girl wondered. Who knows? Maybe she wants people to think her family has more money than they do. Maybe she is trying to buy friends. Rich people do strange things sometimes. The answer came the next day, swift and brutal like a slap across the face. Nyarai cornered me after school, pulling me behind the science building where no one could see us. Her friendly mask finally slipped, revealing something cold and calculating underneath. "I need you to do something for me," she said, her voice different from the sweet, caring tone she usually used with me. This voice was hard, demanding, with an edge that made me step backward instinctively. "What is it?" I asked, though my heart was already racing with fear. "The midterm exams are next week. I need you to help me cheat. You sit near the smart students in mathematics and science. I need you to copy their answers and pass them to me during the exam." I stared at her in shock, unable to believe what I was hearing. This was the same girl who had defended me against bullies, who had shared her lunch with me, who had called me her sister. "Nyarai, I cannot do that. Cheating is wrong. If we get caught, they will expel us both. My mother has worked so hard to keep me in school. I cannot risk my education." Her eyes turned hard as stones, and her pretty face twisted into something ugly and mean. Then you should have thought of that before you took my necklace. What do you mean? I asked, though my heart already knew the answer. The cold fear I had been feeling for weeks suddenly made sense. That necklace cost me 2 months of weekend work, she said, her voice venomous now. 60 hours of cleaning jewelry cases and polishing silver for minimum wage. I have the receipt right here in my bag. If you do not help me cheat, I will tell everyone you stole it from me. I will say I trusted you as a friend, and you repaid me by taking something valuable from my room. She pulled out a folded piece of paper and waved it in my face. Who do you think they will believe, Zubeda? The girl from the poor family who suddenly appears with expensive jewelry? Or the girl with the good reputation, whose father works for the government? I felt sick, like someone had kicked me in the stomach. The beautiful gift had become a chain around my neck, a trap that had been carefully set and patiently waiting for me to walk into it. I understood now why she had chosen me. Not because I was special, not because I was worthy of friendship, but because I was vulnerable. Because I was poor and desperate and hungry for acceptance. You planned this from the beginning, I whispered, tears starting to run down my cheeks. You never cared about me at all. I went home that night and cried until my eyes were swollen and red. I lay on my narrow bed, staring at the ceiling and trying to figure out what to do. I could not cheat. It went against everything my mother had taught me about honesty and integrity. It went against my own values, my own sense of right and wrong. But I also could not bear the shame of being called a thief. Our town was small, and gossip spread easily. If Nyarai told people I had stolen from her, the rumor would reach every corner of Cassenda within days. My mother would be humiliated. Her customers at the market would whisper behind her back. I would never be able to hold my head up again. I took off the necklace and stared at it in the dim light from our single bulb. How could something so beautiful hide such poison? How could I have been so blind to Nyarai's real intentions? My mother had tried to warn me, but I had been too proud, too desperate for friendship to listen. The necklace felt heavy in my hands, like it was made of lead instead of gold. I thought about throwing it in the trash, but I knew that would not solve my problem. Nyarai still had the receipt. She could still claim I had stolen it and thrown it away to hide the evidence. I made my decision somewhere in the dark hours before dawn. The next morning, I would return the necklace to Nyarai and face whatever consequences came. I would not let her trap me into becoming someone I was not. I would not sacrifice my integrity for her lies. But Nyarai was waiting for me at the school gate the next morning, her face cold and calculating. I thought you might try to be noble, she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. But it is too late, Zubeda. I already started spreading the word yesterday. I told several people that you have been acting strange lately, bragging about expensive things your family cannot afford. I mentioned that some jewelry went missing from my room after you visited last week. My heart sank like a stone in deep water. You are lying. I never visited your room. I have never even been to your house. Who will they believe? She asked, shrugging carelessly. The seed is planted, Zubeda. Now it just needs water and sunlight to grow. Every day you refuse to help me, I will add another drop of poison to the well. By the time exams are over, everyone in this school will know that poor little Zubeda is nothing but a common thief. She walked away, leaving me standing there with the necklace burning in my hand like fire. Students were arriving for school, streaming through the gate, laughing and talking. Several of them looked at me strangely, and I wondered if they had already heard Nyarai's lies. For the first time in weeks, I thought about what my mother had taught me. She always said that the truth was like water, it might be blocked for a while, but eventually it would find a way through. She said that lies were like houses built on sand, they looked strong for a while, but when the storms came, they would crumble. I walked straight to the principal's office, my legs shaking but my resolve firm. Mr. Mwangi was a kind man who had been running our school for 15 years. He knew every student by name and had a reputation for fairness and wisdom. With shaking hands and a voice that broke several times, I told him everything. About the necklace, about Nyarai's demands, about the trap I had walked into with my eyes wide open. I showed him the necklace and told him about overhearing the conversation in the bathroom about Nyarai working at the jewelry shop. He listened carefully, never interrupting. "This is a very serious accusation, Zubeda," he said finally. "If what you are telling me is true, then Nyarai has been planning to manipulate you for months. But I need to hear her side of the story before I can make any decisions." He called Nyarai to his office, and I had to sit there while she put on her innocent act, denying everything with tears in her eyes. She was a good actress, I had to give her that. She claimed I was lying to cover up my theft, that she had trusted me as a friend and I had betrayed her. But when Mr. Mwangi asked her about her uncle in South Africa, she stumbled. When he asked for her uncle's name and contact information, she could not provide it. When he called her father to ask about the missing jewelry, the truth finally came out. Nyarai's father knew nothing about any missing jewelry. He was confused and angry that his daughter had been giving away expensive gifts. He confirmed that they had no relatives in South Africa, and he was shocked to learn that Nyarai had been working at the jewelry shop without his knowledge. When confronted with all this evidence, Nyarai finally broke down. And confessed. She admitted that she had planned the whole thing from the beginning. She had befriended me specifically because she needed help cheating on exams, and she thought I would be easy to manipulate because I was poor. Nyarai was suspended for 2 weeks for attempted coercion and academic dishonesty. I was given a warning for accepting such an expensive gift without thinking about the consequences, but Mr. Mwangi acknowledged that I had been the victim of manipulation. The rumors still spread, of course. Some people believed Nyarai's version of events, even after the truth came out. Others whispered that I must have done something to deserve what happened to me. But there were also people who admired my courage in speaking up, who understood that I had been trapped and had found the strength to break free. Nyarai never spoke to me again after that. She avoided me in the hallways, ate lunch alone, and kept her head down during classes. I kept the necklace as a reminder, not because it was beautiful, but because it taught me the most important lesson of my life. Not all gifts are given from love. Some are given to control, to manipulate, to trap. The most dangerous predators are not the ones who attack openly, but the ones who smile while they sharpen their claws. My friendship with Jeaulous slowly healed. She forgave me for my pride and blindness, and I learned to value the friends who loved me for who I was, not for what I could give them or do for them. That is why I am telling you this story, young ones. In this world of social media and peer pressure, of people showing off their wealth and status, there will always be people like Nyarai. They will smile at you, befriend you, and offer you things that seem too good to be true. They will make you feel special, chosen, important. They will fill the empty places and never let yourself be fooled in the process.